And of course, there were some other results, some other tables showed up as well, but AI is going to do that comparison really quickly for me, right? And it already sees that one of those tables has 1,000 less records and a few less columns. Okay, yeah, probably the CSTS Gold is the right table that I can just start using. I can actually deep dive into the table itself and, of course, start looking at the data set that underpins the table. It's all about data. We want to understand it really well. Perfect. So the data set is here. And what does this table actually contain? Well, the customers are here. The addresses are here as well. And there's this nasty JSON here embedded within the address column. Standard data cleanup is required. And there is some information that probably should be PII masked. So something that we can do in a second. But the other thing that we can do is at any particular stage, of course, we see a sample of data set and we see a little bit of data profiling information, but we can actually start querying the data itself. So I can ask, what is the split of customer over the years? And now the AI is going to look at the full data set and try to produce some visualization for us. Okay, which metric am I interested in? How about the customers created over the years? If I don't specify my prompt well enough, of course, the AI is going to come back to me and ask to specify it a little bit better. Let's see if now it's going to detect the right columns for me. And perfect. We can see the distribution of our data over the years as our customers were added in. It's a fairly uniform distribution. It grew a little bit over the last 20 years. OK, great. Let's add this data set in, and let's just start working with it, right? So there are two things that we talked about. One is there is this addresses column right here, which contains those JSONs. Let's just parse it all out. And I can start using complex JSON parsing functions. And again, I can just use AI to do it for me. So I can just say parse the addresses in JSON format. And I can even copy and paste a sample of that JSON to make sure that the better results are produced by AI on the other side. And we can actually, as the AI is working, we can actually see step by step what's happening on the other side. Right? So we have that gold table produced. OK, AI is not perfect, no problem. Let's just try the same prompt again. And what also is happening behind the scenes, right, is that we can see that there are those two modes of AI. One is the one that allows us to extend the pipeline further. The other one exits it for us, right? So I just switch to the add mode, which is going to keep extending the pipeline for me. Really easy. If I build my whole pipeline and it contains hundreds of different transformations, after some time I can also say edit and then optimize it further. Awesome. But this is exactly what I wanted here on the other side. So I get that from JSON expression. And I can actually look at the data as well, right? So now we have those addresses that are created in separate columns. Pretty easy, exactly what we wanted. And I can just keep talking to my agent, right? The other thing that I wanted to do is mask some characters out of the PII columns. So again, I'll just trust that AI will find all the PII columns within my data set and then create the appropriate masking logic for each one of the columns of interest. We can inspect every single step by step. You can actually see that AI is also talking to itself, right? It's an agent. So it keeps introspecting its own code that it's producing to make sure it's valid Databricks code on the other side. And awesome. We can actually open up this transformation right now, and we see that there is a bunch of fairly sophisticated expressions that were created, and our data is now exactly what I need it to be, PII data-free. OK, cool. So we have customers' data, but we talked about security. We talked about credit scores, right? So let's get another table that's going to have our credit scores on the other side. Same process again, trying to identify the right table on the Unity catalog. Now just much, much easier with AI finding that table for us. There's a bunch of different results, but I already know that this is the right table. Now I can keep using AI, but as you're seeing here, I'm using a visual canvas as well. And the whole idea is that different users can collaborate on the canvas that they prefer. And we'll look into the code canvas in a second as well. That's really important. But if I know already what I'm doing, right, I can just start dragging and dropping my components as well. And this is really easy. Let me just identify the highest credit scores for each customer. So I'll just first sort them by the date that the customers had it, and then just do a quick aggregation so that I only have one credit score per customer. Really easy, and the whole idea is that you can have a visual business analyst building out those workflows fairly quickly by themselves. and inspecting what AI is doing on the other side. Okay, enough visual drag and drop. Let's do some more fun AI stuff. So we have those two components right now. How about I join them together? So we have this customer info masked component and the customer created credit scores. I can refer to any piece of code directly in my prompt so that I'm telling the agent exactly what I want to do at any particular point in time. And each one of those transformations is fairly granular, but again, we're going to look at into the second how AI can actually take a whole specification for us and accelerate even further the data pipeline building. Awesome, so we have that join created. It automatically identified the right column for me and picked all the right expressions on the other side. This is good. There is one last thing that I really want to do, which is I have now the top customers and their top cities. I would love to find the zip codes so that I can visualize a nice map for my customer on the other side who's going to be inspecting this analysis, right? So let's just find the table that has zip codes to points data set. And this is because, again, my data set here already contains all the zip codes, right? So we're just going to be averaging those postcodes directly. Perfect. And so this is the right data set. Let's add it into the canvas. Let me make sure the zip code column is right here available as well. Perfect. In this case, it's called postcode. It doesn't matter. Hopefully, AI will figure this out. OK, so as a last step, let's just let the AI complete most of the work for us. I can keep, of course, asking it to do granular transformations, keep inspecting the work I'm doing. But in this case, I'll just say, hey, let's join those two last components. And what we needed is find top 10 cities with highest average credit scores. Let's hit enter, and let's hope that AI now can just complete the rest of the pipeline automatically for me. This might take a little bit longer because there's more components that it's trying to create. But again, we can inspect every single step of what's happening and all the SQL queries generated on the other side as well. OK, there should be no errors. That's a good sign. And awesome. So we have now that exact right pipeline with top cities found, top 10 cities found on the other side. This data looks about right, but there is a little bit of missing information. As you remember, I wanted the points, right? So again, AI is not going to be 100% perfect. Let's just go in and refine the output on the other side. I need to make sure the cities and those WKT points are there. For those of you who are familiar with spatial analytics, WKT is like a standard for spatial representation of points. So I'm just going to make sure that that data is there. OK, cool. And as soon as the data is there, let's just write it to a table on the other side. Perfect. The agent is going to finalize this whole pipeline for us. And just like this, 10 minutes, 8 minutes, we build out this whole report on the other side. And we can start looking at that data that we got. Right? We can even visualize it really quickly. And here are the top 10 cities with highest average credit scores that we were looking for. So once again, we used the two different agents. One is to help us find the right data sets. Another one that was just building alongside us the actual transformation logic, all on that visual canvas. But as I said, visual is not the end of the story, right? A lot of us here, data engineers, we want to get our code done. We are all proficient programmers. No problem. This is where that code editor is coming in as well. Right? So for our whole pipeline that we were developing, in the background, there was code created on the other side. And we can see all that code as high quality, in this case, dbt core compatible SQL code, but it could have been PySpark, Scala, or anything else. We can easily now take that code, start scheduling and productionizing it, and a lot of that functionality is baked in directly into Prophecy. But of course, you have code on the other side on GitHub, right? So you can just take and do whatever you'd like with it. You have also that AI embedded into the code editor too. So if you want to start interacting with the AI or the chat interface directly from code editor, of course, you can do that as well. OK, cool. So we looked at two agents. Pretty exciting. We can build the whole pipeline fairly quickly. But what about the third one that Raj was talking about, where we can take the whole business requirements and start converting them into actual pipelines on the other side? Well, let's have a quick look at that as well. So let's open up a different environment. Now, this agent is actually not something that we have productionized yet, so we're going to be looking here at some brand new stuff that we're demoing, about to be released in around a month, but still very, very exciting. So let's build out our new project, and you can see that this time I'm just building a project directly from scratch, so there is no assumptions of anything that I've previously built. This project is going to be a complete repository on Git, and we'll just have to make sure that we are on the right development branch because we want to follow the best software development practices. Okay, cool. So again, we can just start building up stuff from scratch here. We have this create pipeline interface right here. But the other thing that we can do is very often what happens, regulated industries or not, you do have some documents on the other side that describe what your pipelines are. And this is one example of such document that we got from one of our design partners. This is a treasury stock availability use case. So some business users have written, hey, this is what we need to be doing to compute our treasury stock availability, right? It's a banking financial use case. And it's kind of what you expect out of a business doc, right? There's some definitions of terms. There's a little bit of a process overview. If you look really deep, this is actually a screenshot that was embedded inside the document. So this is not text. There is no code here. This is all business definitions, pseudocode, and a lot of assumptions. And then there is the input data description, right? Again, none of those are actual tables that are there existing on the other side. More of an expectation from a business person that, hey, this is roughly the kind of tables that I would be expecting to see. My securities lists, trade files, etc. And the document spans around 6 pages. Okay, this is great, good doc. Normally you would have to throw it at the data engineer who then would be asking you hundreds of questions about what does all of this stuff actually mean. But now we can actually use AI to start building some of the stuff for us automatically. And so there is this button right here to start uploading your requirements directly. Let's go in and do exactly that. Hopefully you can see this. Perfect. So I can actually go in, find that same document file, and this is the same doc. You can see the preview of it, but this is essentially the same Word doc that I just downloaded from the Google Drive preview that I was showing you. And I'll just upload it directly into this project. Now this might take a second, but there we go. Actually, it's pretty fast. So the agent automatically scanned through the whole doc, and now we are seeing a little bit actually of a standardized template on the other side based on the business requirements doc, right? As we all know, those business requirement docs can be, PowerPoint, Excel files, Word documents. We want to introduce some sort of a standard for you. So you have a little bit of a set of data sources, data targets, and columns and transformations list, right? So all of those transformations are right here, listed out for every single column. Now, again, this is just a business requirement doc. It's the same thing that we were looking at in Google Doc, but, oops. Did I touch something accidentally? Sorry about this. Okay, perfect. So this is a very similar doc, just a little bit more standardized to what we were looking at before in the Word doc. Okay, we have requirements. They are versioned on Git, but what do we do now? Do we start building some of those pipelines by ourselves? Well, you don't have to. This is where AI agents are coming in. And so there is this button at the very bottom right corner where you can just hit Convert to Models. And now we are again starting to interact with the agent on the other side to build out the set of transformations for us that are needed. Do you want to get started? Oh yeah, let's get started. Let's build out this document. What's the first thing that we need to do? It's, again, back to the search of the datasets. We need to find the right datasets on the other side. There is a bunch that the agent identified for us, and most of them are looking fine. Again, those are just tables sitting on my Unity catalog or some files sitting on S3. But there is this one table that I don't like, because essentially what's happening here is if you look at this, there is this rate conversion to AUD values. This table is close, but it doesn't actually contains the currency conversion rates. It's just which country has which currency. That's not useful to me. So let's go out there to the AI and just ask it for a better table. Again, it's an interaction back and forth with the agent on the other side. And so we can come in and say, hey, instead of the currency table, can you add a table that has currency conversion information? Okay, I didn't have to type so many words, but let's see if this is going to work. Perfect. So yeah, so now we have the exchange rate table on the other side, which for whatever exchange rates that I had in my system now has the up-to-date conversion rates. Awesome. So I'm done with selection of my data sets. Let's go ahead and approve this. And what's going to happen now is the AI is actually going to start to bootstrap some of the pipelines that we need created out of our business requirements doc. And so we can see that it's working out to create 3 different pipelines, a bronze, silver, and a gold pipeline. This is a fairly large business doc, so we, of course, expect a lot of transformation logic to be created. So we just created 3 different pipelines, bronze, silver, gold, and let's approve it, and let's see what the AI did on the other side. We can close this just to see a little bit more. OK, perfect. So first pipeline is just doing some source joining, model creation. Everything, of course, under the hood contains the actual code, well documented with comments and the actual expressions. This is looking fine. We can keep going through each one of those pipelines and trying to modify them. Right? But the whole idea is that now the AI agent has done a lot of the work for us automatically out of that business requirements doc. Well, what happens next, though? If we start updating and changing this pipeline, we'll start losing sync with the actual business doc that some business analyst wrote on the other side. So what can we do? Well, we can start updating that business doc in live. So I can actually open up any one of the transformations, and let's add one more expression, because I think my pipeline is missing a settlement status column. So I'm just going to add that column in. And again, AI is going to try to automatically predict that right column. OK, yeah, this is good. Actually, I misspelled it. Let me fix this. OK, awesome. So I have the right column, expression predicted automatically. Let's go ahead and save this. And I can go ahead now. And of course, if AI is making any mistakes for us, we can just very quickly identify those and fix them. What is wrong with this expression? Oh, it looks like our settlement date is of the different data type. No problem. Why don't we use a different date? OK, awesome. So I worked with the AI. I fixed the expression. No problem. My pipeline is now valid and compiling successfully. And we can look at the data on the other side. But most importantly, let's have a look back at our business requirement doc, right? Because this is now what's completely out of date. And the more engineers are engaging with the pipelines and fixing them, optimizing them, et cetera, the more the business requirements doc gets out of date. So there's this new button that appeared right here at the bottom corner. I hope it's visible. We can now press on that. And again, we'll engage the agent to go in on the other side and start suggesting comments within that business requirement doc as if it was a person commenting on my Google Drive, and just showing us directly what are the changes required. Right? So we can see that there is this settlement status column that we introduced, the definition of the column itself, and then some transformation changes. Again, not all of this is going to be perfect. So we can accept some of those changes, maybe reject others, and keep typing and editing that business requirement doc, right? Directly right here. So awesome. So just like this, we now had our whole business requirement doc converted into almost production-ready pipelines that then we edited and refreshed the business requirement doc based on those changes. So multiple agents, we build our data pipelines really, really fast with high-quality code that is production-ready now. Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
With that, I guess let's move to questions.
Yep. I don't know if we had other slides at the end. No.
We have a
One
we
slide.
have a slide that says questions.
Perfect.
What could be a surprise? So, but as you guys can see, right, this is like data engineering and building data pipelines for analysts is changing very, very, very fast. So a year from now, whatever your current paradigm is, it's not going to be like that, right? Coding's already changing very fast. I know a lot of our internal team uses Cursor, some use Windsurf. So, the AI is going to work with you. With that, happy to, are there any questions that we can answer? Please.